My name's Gavin Farley. I work with Local Land Services and I'm here with Stephen Young from Soil Conservation Service. We're at Kingdon Ponds, just north of Scone, and we're just looking at Riverbank stabilisation project that's happened out here. It's been funded by the Hunter Valley Flood Mitigation Scheme and our partners, Department of Planning and Environment, the Water Group. This is a pretty unique program in the Hunter, as well as funding all the levees around Maitland and drains and the maintenance of those for flood mitigation. Soil Conservation Service have been engaged to do the works here. So the works at this site have involved some large woody debris structures that have been installed in the riverbank to protect the bank, and then moving the fences back to keep the stock right out of the riparian zone, and also weed control and native revegetation.
So you can see here where we've just placed single logs, and you can notice on the top one here how the water is deflected away from the bank, and also the logs have allowed for the accumulation of sediment up near the toe of the embankment. As compared to the structure we've built down here, which is an engineered log jam, the erosion was much more significant at that site. So we've built a structure down there with a large number of logs interlocked together to increase the stability of the bank. And you can see down there as well, it's starting to trap the debris and the sediment to protect the riverbank behind it. One important feature of the log structures is they create habitat in the water, so they'll create the pools and riffles, and that improves the habitat for the wildlife as well as providing the protection for the riverbank as well. Yeah, certainly the fencing is a very important part, obviously, to be able to control grazing and keep the livestock out. And as you can see, they've planted quite a number of tube stock here. There's a range of species, including the grasses and the sedges, as well as shrubs like bottlebrush and tea trees, and also some of the trees like the eucalypts as well. As the vegetation establishes, that'll help to stabilise the site as well over time. Having the vegetation is probably one of the most important factors. And I guess interesting to note at this site, since it's been built, I think there's been 3 floods over it already, so it's certainly had a good test, and you can see how it's held up to those floods.
So there's a few elements to this project that have sort of made it possible to be successful. One is obviously the landholder has to be on board, and the landholders here saw the logic of it. They could see the erosion near the fence. The fence there used to be right at the top of the bank, so they were worried about losing that. And similarly on this side, and worried about losing paddock for them, but also just losing the soil from the system. So they need to be willing to keep their stock out, and there's a weed management element to it as well. Once the stock are out, everything grows, so we're trying to favour that towards the native plants, just because they're more adapted for this system. All the associations with the fauna are related to the native vegetation, both in the stream with the fish, platypus and other aquatic fauna, but also the terrestrial fauna are all associated with native vegetation. So we're trying to get really dense native vegetation on these riverbanks. You can see there as well, we're starting to get natural accumulations of logs and woody debris in the system. Always reminding landholders that's a good thing. That's where the habitat sort of starts. Not to drag it out of there and clean up the rivers. We want the rivers to be sort of messy and natural and have a lot of that potential habitat in it. So hence you can see the density of the planting is going to provide additional habitat through future, fallen logs and that sort of thing. Managing your riverbank and the livestock around it is something that Local Land Services is here to support. We can give advice on how to manage the waterways for natural area improvement on your property.